It's Friday, the 17th of June, 2022. Welcome to the Fast Five by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, 5 stories to get through in 5 minutes, and a big day yesterday. Another 60,000 jobs were created in the local economy last month, and while the unemployment rate was still unchanged at 3.9%, the participation rate hit a record.
It's a hot labour market at the moment, Michael. Full-time employment was up more than 69,000. Part-time employment was down almost 9,000. The net effect was 60,600 new jobs in May. Pretty much all the data in the labour report yesterday was good. Hours worked rose. Underemployment fell to 5.7%. As you mentioned, the participation rate hit a low. The unemployment rate itself is at its lowest level since 1982. All the indicators say there's plenty of jobs around and that unemployment rate of 3.9% will fall. The bad news is that the strong labour market will push up wages as businesses fight for staff. And we already saw the minimum wage jump by 5.2% this week. That in turn puts pressure on inflation and then on interest rates. Market economists expect the Reserve Bank to lift the official cash rate by another 50 basis points when it meets in just over 2 weeks' time, and they're going to keep rising for the rest of the year.
Sean, for story number 2, you know how I like to give you a challenge every now and then?
Yeah.
Well, I think this could be one of your greatest challenges. In 45 seconds or thereabouts, I'm not going to hold you to it strictly, but there is a fascinating story around today. It is about BHP wanting to extend the life of one of the biggest coal mines in the country, but it's as part of its efforts to go green. Now, you've got 45 seconds to explain this one, so go.
Right. BHP is proposing to continue operating the Mount Arthur coal mine in the Hunter Valley in New South Wales until 2030 and then close the site and rehabilitate the land, effectively meaning no one else can mine it. The decision comes after BHP failed to find a suitable buyer for the coal asset. It had hoped to offload it by 2026, but now it's going to extend its life, but then close it down, even though there's about 15 years worth of coal beyond 2030. This puts the pressure back on the New South Wales government. It needs to clarify if it's happy to shut the mine in 2030 or whether it should look for another operator. All this, of course, as energy prices surge and blackouts are a real threat for the state. Closing the mine will also trigger thousands of job losses. Now, BHP's made it clear it takes its net zero promises seriously, notwithstanding it wants to keep coal division going for a bit longer. The New South Wales government now has to decide whether it does as well.
Well done.
Thanks.
A little bit over 45 seconds, but a really good description. So you know what? You can have that one.
Thanks.
Sean, story number 3 today. This is pretty big news, this one. The New South Wales Coalition Government and the Victorian Labor Government have joined together to announce some big changes to the early education sector.
Yes, every child will be offered a free place in preschool within the next decade. It is great news, a major reform by the 2 most populous states. Kids will start school at the ages of 3 or 4 in the future. Victorian Premier Daniel Andrews said it will save families about $2,500 a year. It will also give children every chance for the best start in life, he said, and of course provides women with greater choice and opportunity.
Yeah, big story. Story number 4 today, Sean. China is moving to gain some control over iron ore prices. They're basically setting up a centrally controlled group to purchase the ore.
Beijing hopes the new entity can secure lower prices through larger bulk purchases made on companies' behalf. The project will also seek to boost domestic iron ore output and organise bigger investments in overseas mines, according to the Financial Times. Of course, this has major ramifications for Australia and its big 3 miners, BHP, Fortescue and Rio Tinto. They, of course, provide the large bulk of ore to China, and that's used to create about 1 billion, with a B, tonnes of steel a year.
All right, last one. Story number 5, Sean. And this is a story for all the dreamers out there. And it's also one of those stories that you wonder, why exactly did they choose to study this? The Julius Baer Group's 2022 Global Wealth and Lifestyle Report says Shanghai is the most expensive city to live in when you're really, really rich.
Really rich. The report considers the cost of residential property, cars, airfares, business schools and other luxuries, things you and I don't think too much about. Shanghai came in at number 1, followed by London. Tokyo went from 3 to 8. New York didn't even make the top 10. Now, the biggest hike in prices came in technology, smartphones, laptops and things. Bike prices jumped 30%. wine prices fortunately fell 30%. One I love most of all, hiring a lawyer became much more expensive, up 33%. Incredible, it's even considered as part of the survey.
It's just an everyday expense when you're in that league, isn't it?
Presumably so.
All right, that's it. The top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It's Friday, the 17th of June, 2022. Remember to hit follow on the podcast, and if 5 minutes isn't enough for you, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed on your podcast platform. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.